Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee, SS Storm Chasers, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com, and nycweathernow.com. We're going to focus tonight on Hurricane Nicole because it is very impressive, and it's also the second major hurricane that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And this is the latest reconnaissance aircraft report. Now, I just want to show you, you can kind of read these. You can get these on the National Hurricane Center's website under Data and Tools. If you click on Air Force Reconnaissance and then you go to Vortex Data Message and click on that, you get the actual report that the plane found. And this is at nhc.noaa.gov if you're interested in the future. I'll read you the lines that are important. The line A is the date and time, and the time is in Greenwich time. B gives you the latitude and longitude, so it's 30 degrees 3 minutes north, so roughly 30 north, and 66 degrees 24 minutes west. So divide the minutes by 6, so it's at 66.4 west. So this is less than 200 miles southwest of Bermuda, and the line that's important is line D, 111 knots. So that's the maximum sustained wind that the plane found, which would translate roughly to about 130 miles an hour. And the maximum flight level wind was just about a 177 degree wind, so roughly a south wind, which would be 180. North is 360. And west would be 270, east is 090, so 177 degrees wind at 119 knots. That's at the flight level, which means that the surface wind would be a bit lower than that. And that wind was found just east of the center, 092 degrees, so 90 degrees east, 25 nautical miles east of the center. The lowest pressure measured by the drop zone that they dropped down in the center was 953 millibars. So this was roughly at 11 o'clock. The hurricane was strengthening at a rate of about 1 millibar an hour since this morning. So we've gone from 970 to almost 950, which is what they carried on the advisory. And then you can read the remarks on the bottom. It says max flight level wind. He tells you where. He tells you what time it was measured. And the maximum sustained wind that he measured was an east-northeast maximum surface wind, 075 degrees at 6 knots. So that's the wind that they measured inside the eye. So this is really an impressive hurricane indeed. Look at that eye. It's 30 miles in diameter. You've got this big, solid core of convection and the very, very cold cloud tops showing up right here, just enveloping around the center itself. And there's Bermuda, which is only 22 miles long and about a mile wide at its widest. And the eye is going to probably pass right over the island during the day Wednesday, probably sometime in the late morning or around noontime. So weather conditions are already deteriorating there, and they will continue to deteriorate through the morning, and then the hurricane will gradually pull away after that. I'll show you on the GFS from tonight. It takes it right over the island, just touching where the low center touches the island. So it would certainly suggest that the eye would move over Bermuda, and then it moves out to the northeast and out into the open waters of the Atlantic. Meanwhile, here in the eastern part of the United States, we're looking good for the weekend. We've got this weak weather front that goes by that falls apart. So then another cool, dry air mass builds in with high pressure for Saturday, Sunday. And that means we'll have sunshine starting on Friday. Actually, even the daytime Thursday won't be too bad. I think no worse than partly sunny. And then we'll have sunshine for Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. And then here's the next week front that follows. That'll come through sometime on Monday with maybe a few showers. The weather's going to be very uneventful here, just a typical mid-October type weather. Temperatures a little bit below normal, and daytime highs in the low to mid 60s. Some areas to the north may not get out of the 50s, and nighttime lows will be down in the 40s. I just want to show you what happens afterward. I don't have enough of the GFS to go far enough out. So I'll just show you what we have so far. So from Bermuda, I know that there are those of you that watch these videos from the Canadian Maritimes, and it's still forecasting it to kind of stall out because of the block that develops. And it actually drops a little southward. The prior GFS run here, so the positions are actually about the same for the same time frame, so the GFS looks pretty consistent. But the late afternoon run kind of left it there for a little while and then moved it northeastward, where it just barely clips southeastern Newfoundland, but the core stays well offshore as it moves away to the northeast. One thing I want to point out, and we talked about this yesterday, pressures down in the Caribbean here are very low. And I think this is going to be conducive to another possible tropical system that's going to develop sometime later next week. Models have been showing this fairly consistently for the last 4 or 5 days, and the late afternoon GFS run, for what it's worth. Now remember, once we get past day 7, we're in who knows land, but it does develop a tropical system that on this run took over the Yucatan and into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Who knows if that's real or not in terms of the track. It's been kind of centering around this area. Let me just get the pen there. It's been kind of centering around this area as a general track. The European was a little bit different, and I'll show you the European run from today because you know, there are going to be some differences in model runs. And then I want to show you the Canadian run, which was really, in my view, hilarious, because that model is sometimes can be incredibly ridiculous. But the European run actually develops a low in the Bahamas, which it drops down into the Caribbean and then just sort of leaves it there. So, you know, it might be a different way of how it gets to some sort of tropical system there also by the latter part of next week. Now, I wanted you to show you the Canadian model, because the Canadian model has this habit, and I don't know why it does this, but it loves to spin up everything, okay? It finds a cloud, and somehow it always manages it to turn it into a hurricane. And I'm going to show you here that on this particular run from today, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, to me it's pretty silly, but it actually forms a low in east of the Bahamas, and you can see it here, okay? And then at the same time, it's dropping something southward from northern New England down into this, where it sort of becomes one low, and then it strengthens it to a hurricane and turns it toward the Carolinas as a very intense system forms in the middle Mississippi Valley. So it's kind of drawn northwestward into that. And at the same time, it develops something in the southern Caribbean. You can see it here, and then takes it northeast up to between Jamaica and right over Haiti again. I have to tell you, this to me is a little bit ridiculous. The reason why it does this is that it makes this massive cutoff low right there in the middle Mississippi Valley. So this system is actually drawn to it with a big upper high in the northeast. None of the other models have anything like this. I'll show you just the comparison. The European has this, okay? And if this is right, we're going to have our first shot of genuine cold air into the northeast late next week and for next weekend. The GFS does something relatively similar, and I'll go to the day run and show you, has a fairly deep trough in the east. So the Canadian is all by itself with that silliness, and I'm not going to believe it until, unless all the other models somehow go that way, and it doesn't seem likely because the Canadian's track record is not very good. So let's give you one last look of, and I'll update the satellite loop, and you can see there's Nicole on its way to Bermuda, 130-mile-an-hour winds, Category 3 hurricane, could possibly even become a Category 4 because conditions are still favorable for strengthening until it gets north of Bermuda. So there's still time for this to get even stronger. We'll have more on this on the website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, and also on my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Have a great Thursday.